Jack was 15 when he first realized that life could be unfair in quiet, suffocating ways. He had grown up in a modest suburb of Ohio, where his parents, Mark and Susan, had only one rule: success wasn't an option, it was an obligation. His childhood wasn't filled with bedtime stories or lazy Sunday mornings. It was filled with test papers, flashcards, and color-coded schedules pinned on the kitchen wall. While other kids rode their bikes or played baseball, Jack solved equations and memorized anatomy terms. He didn't mind at first, he wanted to make his parents proud. But the spark that lit his heart wasn't in textbooks. It was in the kitchen. He used to sneak into the kitchen at night, when the world was asleep. He'd open the refrigerator light, feeling like a thief in his own home, and experiment, adding spices, melting butter, making strange mixtures that somehow smelled like comfort. Once, his mother caught him at 2 a.m. with flour on his hands. "Jack," she whispered sharply, "you have an exam tomorrow. Why are you wasting time with this nonsense?" He looked down, embarrassed. "I just wanted to try making bread, Mom." She sighed, her face tight with exhaustion. "You're not a cook, Jack. You're meant for bigger things. Don't waste your life chasing flavors." Those words stayed with him longer than she ever realized. When Jack turned 16, his father received a job transfer to the United States, a dream opportunity. Mark's pride swelled as he told everyone, "My son will study in America, the land of success." But for Jack, it wasn't a dream. It was a new prison. Within weeks, they were gone from Ohio, landing in a small town in Oregon, a quiet, chilly place with pine trees and wide roads. New country, new school, same pressure. Every night, his parents drilled him with practice tests. His father's voice echoed down the hall: "If you want to survive here, you have to be the best." But Jack's heart wasn't in it. He'd stare at the ceiling, dreaming of food, the sizzle of garlic, the scent of roasted herbs, the colors of the kitchen that always made him feel alive. He started watching cooking videos secretly at night, jotting recipes in a small notebook he hid under his pillow. 8 months after moving to America, that notebook would become the only piece of his old life he'd have left. It was a cold November evening when the phone rang. Jack was at home, studying for an exam he didn't care about. His parents had flown to New York for a conference. He answered the phone casually, not knowing that life as he knew it was ending. The voice on the other side trembled. "Is this Jack Miller? I'm sorry to inform you, your parents' flight has gone down over the Hudson River. There were no survivors." The phone slipped from his hand. The world became soundless, like a film muted mid-scene. He remembered running, not sure where, not sure why. He collapsed in the backyard, the winter air biting his skin, the stars above him cruelly still. He was 15, alone, and an orphan in a country that didn't even feel like home. Weeks blurred into each other after the funeral. Social workers came, asking questions in voices too gentle for the chaos inside him. They sent him to a foster home, a place that smelled like detergent and hopelessness. The kids there were rough, the caretakers tired. He spent nights staring at the ceiling, clutching his recipe notebook, reading the scribbles he had made under his blanket months ago. Butter, garlic, hope. After a few months of paperwork and shifting between temporary homes, Jack was sent to live with John and Linda Williams, a middle-aged couple in the same small Oregon town. John owned a hardware store. Linda worked as a nurse. They didn't have children of their own, and when Jack arrived, quiet, thin, eyes full of ghosts, they didn't ask for much. Linda simply said, "You're safe here, Jack." He didn't answer, but he felt it, for the first time in months. Warmth. Still, grief doesn't leave quietly. Jack stopped caring about school. Teachers said he had potential, but his grades sank like stones. He spent afternoons wandering behind the Williams house, where Linda kept a small garden. Sometimes, when she wasn't looking, he'd pluck herbs and sniff them: rosemary, thyme, basil. He'd crush them between his fingers, close his eyes, and feel a small flicker of the boy he used to be. One day, Linda caught him. "Hey," she said softly. "You like cooking, don't you?" Jack froze. "I used to. You can use my kitchen if you'd like." I get tired of John's sandwiches anyway. That evening, for the first time since his parents' death, Jack cooked. He made a simple omelette, but when the smell filled the kitchen, something cracked open inside him. John walked in, whistling. Well, I'll be damned. This tastes better than anything I've had in years. Jack smiled, shy but alive. From that day on, he cooked every evening. Pancakes, pasta, stews, he taught himself through YouTube, old cookbooks, and trial and error. Linda noticed how he changed, how his silence became focus, how his pain found a rhythm in chopping onions and stirring sauce. But not everyone understood. His teachers warned him, "You'll ruin your future if you don't fix those grades." Jack only nodded. He didn't care. His future wasn't in classrooms, it was in kitchens. At 16, he got a part-time job washing dishes at a local diner, Betty's Grill. The owner, a gruff old man named Frank, didn't talk much. But he saw something in Jack, that hungry spark that only the truly passionate carry. After weeks of scrubbing pans and wiping tables, Jack asked, "Frank, can you teach me to cook?" Frank grunted. You can't even lift a pan properly." "I can learn." Frank studied him for a long moment. "Be here tomorrow at 5 a.m. If you're late, you're done." Jack wasn't late. The next months were brutal. He cut his fingers, burned his hands, ruined countless dishes. But he showed up every day, rain or snow. Frank never praised him, but one morning, he handed Jack a plate of scrambled eggs and said, "Cook this your way." Jack hesitated, then added butter, salt, a bit of cream, and rosemary. Frank tasted it, smirked, and said, "Not bad, kid. Not bad at all." That was the first compliment he'd heard in years. He went home that night, hands shaking, not from exhaustion, but joy. Linda and John watched him grow. They saw him leave early, come home late, smelling of grease and ambition. Sometimes, Linda would pack him meals. Sometimes, John would drive him to work when his bike broke. One night, Linda asked gently, "Jack, what do you want from life?" He looked at her and said, without hesitation, "I want to be a chef." Her smile was quiet but proud. Then be one. By the time Jack turned 19, he had saved enough to enroll in a culinary program at the local community college. Frank wrote him a letter of recommendation, short but powerful. The boys got fire. College was hard. He was surrounded by kids who had better equipment, better connections, better everything. But none of them had what Jack did, grit. He worked nights at the diner to pay tuition, studied during the day, and practiced recipes in Linda's kitchen until dawn. Failure didn't scare him anymore. He had faced worse. Slowly, his dishes started winning attention. His professors admired his precision. His classmates envied his focus. At 23, Jack graduated top of his class. But he wasn't done. He wanted to open his own restaurant, a place that served food with soul, not perfection. It took years of saving, scraping, borrowing. John helped him with the paperwork. Linda helped decorate the place. When it finally opened, a small sign hung above the door, "The Hearth." The first night, only 4 customers came. By the second week, it was packed. People said there was something special about the food, something raw, emotional, like every bite told a story. Jack never advertised his past. But those who knew could taste it, the pain, the hope, the rebirth. One night, as he closed the restaurant, John and Linda walked in, smiling. "Thought we'd surprise you," Linda said. Jack hugged them both, tears burning his eyes. "You didn't have to." John laughed. "Kid, we're your family." "Of course we did." As they sat down to eat, Jack looked around, the warm lights, the smell of rosemary and butter, the laughter from the kitchen. For the first time since that terrible phone call years ago, his heart was full. He had lost everything once. But he had rebuilt, piece by piece, meal by meal, dream by dream. He stood by the window that night, looking out at the town that had once felt like a prison. Now it was home. He whispered softly, as if to the ghosts of his parents. "I made it, Mom. Not the way you wanted, but the way I was meant to." The wind outside carried the scent of the diner's chimney, the faint hum of life, and somewhere deep in the night, the quiet crackle of fire. The fire within him that never died.